Technology would be the downfall of us all. And it'll be all because of the internet. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Thank You for Sharing. Okay, all right. Intro may have been a little dramatic today, but today we're talking about Donald Glover's Because of the Internet. Now, this album came out like 2013. I think anybody who is around my age, it's fair to say, if you're around my age, this album, along with so many other albums, have been so popular. In the year that it came out, so much good music came out. I mean, this same year, Doris came out by Earl Sweatshirt, Yeezus came out, Acid Rap came out by Chance the Rapper, Long Live ASAP came out, Born Sinner by J. Cole came out, Nothing Was the Same came out by Drake, Watching Movies with the Sound Off by Mac Miller. Like, all of these heavy hitting albums came out this year, and I'm a fan of literally all of those albums, but for some reason, this album in particular, I just feel like deals with a lot of things that we deal with today, and it's literally all because the internet. And I'm going to give you a fair warning. It's going to be probably a lot of me being corny and saying because of the internet any given time that I can. But I mean, if you really want to dumb it down or really make it simple, it's really because the internet. And we have a lot of problems today because the internet. So first, for those who don't know who Donald Glover is, aka Childish Gambino, first of all, I decided to do this episode because he is somebody that I look up to a lot. Like, this man is an actor, writer, rapper, and show producer. Like, you may be familiar with the shows Atlanta. He got a start on the show Community. He has his own Comedy Central special. And recently, he just dropped this show on Amazon called Mrs. and Mr. Smith, which by far has been one of my favorite shows this year. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to focus on this album today. And most importantly, what I think are some of the themes and how they relate to a lot of things that we have going on today. So like I said, this album came out in 2013 and, it came out with a lot of great music. But I think what kind of set it apart compared to its counterparts were the world that Donald Glover created for this album. So if you're anything like me, I'm a big fan of movies, I'm a big fan of film, and one thing that I really appreciate is a album rollout. I'm talking like when somebody just come out and they create such a beautiful world for their album. I'm not talking about just waking up and being like, yo, my album out, go get it. Here's the album. Like, no, I'm talking about somebody who is very passionate about their work and somebody who really puts time and planning into what they're creating. Because to me, it makes it seem that they put way more into it than just dropping the album. And no hate or shade to anyway. So what makes this album so special to me is I appreciate the rollout. And with this album came websites, art installations, Twitter pages, and most importantly, a script. And I just thought to myself, with everything that's going on in this world, Elon Musk just dropped the Neuralink, which if you're unfamiliar with the Neuralink, it's literally embedding a chip into your mind and letting you control technology with just your thoughts. And recently he just got the green light to put a chip into a human. And now the results is a human can move a mouse with just his thoughts. Very I guess subtle at this moment, but just think about where it could be. And then think about AI and everything today, and think about ChatGPT. Think about how Apple just released the Apple Vision. Everything is going crazy. Our dopamine levels, everything, we're getting fried, bro. I don't think we're meant to exist in a world where technology is so prevalent. And I think technology will be the end of us. But that's, neither here or there. I think a big part of the theme of this album is talking about the internet, which is crazy because he wrote this in 2013. One thing that I appreciate about this album is it has a film. It has not only a script that goes with it, it has a short film. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if you're watching the short film, reading the script, and you're listening to the album, everything kind of is everywhere, all right? It's a thin line between reality and fiction. Most importantly, if you just focus on the album itself, you're good. So this album paints a world for you. If you follow the script, it is the soundtrack to what is going on in the script. So pretty much you have this story of the boy. I really won't get into deep of the exact script. I think you need to go read it yourself. However, I think that this is a really cool idea to align a script with the album. And like I said, as a creative, man, this man does everything. And I think for him to have two worlds kind of intersect is really cool to me as a creator. You can read the script. It does seem a little bit like a fever dream, but you know, lucky for me, I did listen to an entire podcast. Shout out Dissect Podcast, Cole Kushner, where they really dived into the album song by song, note by note. And that's kind of what I listened to get prepared for this episode. And then it just kind of allowed me to revisit this music that I love. I think most notably, the most popular song off this album is 3005. You've probably heard the song 3005. If you haven't, stop what you're doing right now and listen to it. And 3005, which is a year date, you know, this song kind of sounds like very poppy and very like uplifting. But if you really listen to the darkness of this song, you really realize that, yo, it's kind of dark. So songs like 3005 and things like that really remind me of what it was like growing up in this time. And kind of where like, you know, social media and everything kind of was like in its peak. And I'm not saying it's still not in its peak, but it was in its peak. And you have a lot of songs off of this album really kind of like diving into not only like the internet, but kind of like who we are as people. And I would like to say that I gravitated towards this project and towards this album because one of the themes of this album to me is this kind of like casual luxury. And what I mean by casual luxury, I mean, we follow the character in the script and in the album. His name's The Boy. And he grows up kind of like already having money. It's really nothing to him. And so as you see in this world where money isn't really prevalent to him in the sense of like he's looking to make money necessarily in the beginning of this story, it's just casual. I mean, in this story, his Dedrick Ross is very confusing. I mean, it's going to sound like a fever dream if you're not familiar with it, but I challenge everybody to look into it if you're not. But what I really appreciate is how nuanced that this can be and how many different themes that arise in this album. So as you listen to this album, it takes you on a story from the beginning song, the library intro, to the ending song, the life's biggest troll. So the boy's occupation is a troll. Like, if you're not familiar with a troll, it's somebody who literally goes online and just makes people upset for absolutely no reason. It could be funny, and sometimes it could be some of the most evil of stuff. You got some people that are trolls in real life. But anyway, so we kind of follow the boy as he kind of dives into what he thinks life is, but at the same time kind of existing on the internet. You know, I think a lot of people who are older than us don't know the ramifications that social media has put on us to grow up in the age of social media. I mean, I've been on Instagram. I got my first Instagram since when I was like 11. So I've been on the internet for that long. What, I'm 24 now. I don't want to feel like doing the math, but I've been on the internet for that long. And so I feel like this is a different view because now we have people who are actually growing up on the internet. And now you have people who are growing up where virtual reality and things that we've dreamed of are now actual concepts. And that's the world that they're growing up in. We're not sitting here. We're not really thinking about what is this doing to the human psyche? There's a lot of themes that are kind of visited in this album. I gravitated towards this short film that's associated with the movie. So the short film is called Clapping for the Wrong Reasons. Why I like it? Well, it's shot on like 35 millimeter film. If you're a film person, you know what that means. It's casual luxury. As we're in this short film, you kind of see the boy or Donald Glover. The lines are so blurred. You kind of see the boy as he lives in this mansion, but he's like walking around some people he don't know, you know, and there's really no arc or anything that's happening. It feels as if you were actually living a life of someone who's, you know, born rich and really have no purpose in life or really understanding what their purpose is. And as he goes around this house, a lot of just weird things happen. But the house is like in the California hills, and to me, it's so beautiful and it's so picturesque. But then again, there's like nothing there. There's like no substance. Like he's just walking around doing drugs and just hanging out with people, some people he knows and some people that he doesn't know. And the music from the album loosely kind of scores the film. And then you see other rappers who are featured on the album, like Chance the Rapper in this short film who was being Chance the Rapper. So you kind of really question the line between real and fake is so blurred, just like how it is in real life with social media. Things are not what they seem. The internet is not a real place. And it's crazy that it's something that is used to bring people together, like social media essentially makes you feel more alone but closer than ever. And that's where a lot of songs on this album kind of explains, just like the song 3005. So let's talk about some of the songs on the album. Let's talk about one of the songs, World Star. And in this song, you kind of hear him talking about World Star Hip Hop. If you were like, everyone knows in this day and age, World Star Hip Hop had just got off the ground, and they were kind of known for posting some of the craziest clips, like people like fighting or just some of the craziest stuff. It even got to the point where things were getting meme. Like if something happened in real life that was going crazy, someone would be like, World Star. And this song kind of deals with that. It kind of talks about that. It kind of talks about how violent we are as people. And the urge, I had a conversation with one of my friends recently, and I was like, bro, we're pretty violent people. And it's like, we could go about society acting like we're not violent, but people used to watch people die. People would go to the Coliseum, watch a lion eat a person, or watch people fight to death, and just be like, "Oh, bro, I'm gonna go home." Like, what you doing after this? Like, it's really insane that that was such a normal thing. And I think people truly think that we've gotten far away from that, but we haven't. We just made it fake. You have things like movies and things like that are so gory that you even question yourself, like, should we really be seeing this? And I'm not saying inherently there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just asking why. Like, why do we want to watch like some of the most popular shows or some of the most goriest stuff? And that's cool, whatever. But you even find yourself kind of looking forward to seeing gory stuff. Like you could watch something like I was watching the Percy Jackson's new series, and it's a kid show, and I was expecting for it to be a little bit more gory. So it's things like the song World Star that kind of plants the seed and kind of makes you think. But a lot of these songs are really described or really sound like beautiful. You have to sit here and really look into the subject matter of the song, similar to the internet. There's a lot of things that, people post on social media about, positively and things like that, but how are they doing in their everyday life? A lot of people can post their achievements, but not a lot of people post their failures. And so this album is just so nuanced, and I'm speaking kind of vaguely about it because I really want you to go in and I really want you to listen to it if you haven't listened to it, because I think that exploration needs to be done by you. I think you need to go do it, and you just kind of see what you think about it. But I'm gonna talk about some of my favorite songs. You have a song in there, it's called The Worst Guys, which is Chance the Rapper. And for me, I really like this song because whenever I have a beach day, I kind of put it on. It's kind of cliche because in the music video, they go to a beach and they're literally just surfing and just kind of like hanging out, having a party, and then they have like a bonfire. So in a weird way, it's kind of like when I'm at the beach and I'm listening to this song, I'm kind of like living out the fantasy of what it would be like to live in this world. And then you have songs like Telegraph Avenue. You get the feeling of like you're watching a film when you're listening to that song in particular, because you can hear the character, the boy, get into his car, cut on his radio, like cut on his car, then cut on his radio. And this song called Oakland, which is not a real song, that's sung by the actual singer Lloyd. He sings this song called Oakland, which is kind of like this love song. And the boy, the character, the boy, sings along to the song. And then as the song kind of progresses, Lloyd is out of the song, and the boy or Childish Gambino, he sings and takes over the song. It's a really cool concept. But in this music video, It's just him driving around Kauai, which I think the island Kauai. I think he's driving around the island Kauai in like a Jeep, and it is just so outlandish. In this music video, there's like this beautiful back setting of him chilling with Janae Aiko. He's chilling with Janae Aiko, and they're just on the beach, just having fun. They're swimming in water, but you could kind of see as the video kind of go on, like there's people who's kind of noticing him. And then at the end, something completely just off guard happens. There's a twist at the end of the music video where something happens when he turns into like this alien and this monster, which is a lot of like commentary of what it's like to be Black in America. Like there's a lot of things that this album really explores. And then you have this song Shadows. Tuesday afternoon, I ain't gonna do, but fall in love with you. There's just a lot of songs off this album that I appreciate. And it's like you could listen to them as individuals or you could listen to them as a story. And I think if you're listening to it without the script in hand, you can get a little lost. Or honestly, sometimes, depending on how you look at it, you can get lost even while reading the script. But I think most importantly that was done on purpose. It was done to blur the lines between real and fake. And when you're listening to or you're reading this out, if you're reading the script or listening to this album, there's a lot of things that just kind of some stuff makes sense and some stuff doesn't make sense. But it's cool to see someone create a world for themselves and a world that they can exist in. When Donald Glover was doing this or Childish Gambino was doing this, he was kind of existing in his own world. I mean, he wore the same stuff every day or to every interview. He had people like Michael B. Jordan or like some people kind of like drop things in their own interviews that kind of really like blurred the line between real and fake. And then, I mean, being honest, man, he was coming off a part in his life where he just stopped the show Community and kind of wanted to pursue music for this like time period when people really thought that he shouldn't. And I think that not only to create a world, but to do things on your own term, it's very commendable to see someone do that because a lot of people tell you what to do and what not to do. There's a part on this song, 3005, where he says, I used to care what people thought, but now I care more. I mean, nobody's out here got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. But anyway, I think that is true. I think that this album has so many themes, and I know that it just seems like I'm everywhere, but I just promise if you really just sit here and explore the things, you'd be just like me. Because just like the internet, man, things are so random. I mean, one day we could be grieving over somebody, then the next day we're laughing over the darkest stuff that we've ever the darkest stuff we ever laughed over. And it's all random. And I think that there's a big disconnect from reality because of the internet. I know for sure, man, there's times in my day where I can be so like kind of glued to my phone that I'm not really enjoying the things that I need to enjoy in real life. There's times where I can't even like maybe enjoy a day, just like a walk in the park sometimes, or just me really looking outside because my eyes have been my eyes have been glued to my screen. And I definitely think that social media has like this intensive purpose. I think the technology was made to kind of help humans kind of like get used to life. But ultimately, I think that it could be super crippling because, science and technology says that, we have all these tools that we use that we can be the closest that we can. But honestly, man, we've just seen a lot of things that kind of just like reoccur. Like a lot of people are kind of like maybe their true selves on the internet. And some people are definitely not their true selves on the internet. And I feel like the internet is a place for a lot of people to kind of express repressed thoughts. And then it's kind of like a place for positivity. But it's like, I think as humans, until we find this balance of what technology means to us and how helpful or harmful it can be to us, we'll continue to just reminisce, There's parts in this script where it talks about people being afraid to move forward. That's why nostalgia can be a drug for like some people. Even I find myself with my friends, man. Whenever I'm with my friends, there are definitely times where we're just sitting and we're just talking about, man, all the good times that we had in college. And it's like, you don't know what the future holds. But I challenge my friends and I challenge you as well as we move forward in these lives, try to be a little bit more intentional. Try to really spend time with each other and really understand that it's okay to move forward. I think Donald Glover, if you're a fan of him at all, he really talks about how he loves just, endings. One day he talks about, being able to put down music all together because he thinks that every good story needs a good ending. So I think as a society, yes, it's okay to look back at certain things and reminisce, but if we were to live in that nostalgia, we're not moving forward because we're afraid of what's forward, of what is forward. We're afraid to move forward as a society. We love social media because once we find that everybody kind of missed those days, it kind of makes you less likely to feel bad about missing those days. It's kind of like this universal thought. And it kind of makes you think like, in this time where we're so connected, how could we be so far apart? So while I think this episode and this album and this universe is so random, I think that is just a true testament of the blur between reality and fiction. I don't think we have like there's a saying that is like a person lives like three lives: the lives they are with their parents, the lives they are by themselves, and the lives that they have on their phone. I feel like as a society, we should really think of the ramifications that we're putting on ourselves. Because I think that there's a lot of people who have these fake lives on the internet, but are struggling in real life. And I'm not saying that the solution is letting people know your struggles in real life. I mean, honestly, there are certain things that just need to stay private. Like certain things you just need to just keep to yourself. But there's definitely like this fakeness that we all know that's on the internet, but somehow we all still feed into it. We still feed into this persona. We feed into all of these things that we know aren't really good for us. Like, I'm not saying that technology advances are bad, but we're starting to see the dark times of technology, but we're not seeing it as a caution. I mean, there's a whole show, Black Mirror. There's a whole show where showing the repercussions that technology can have. And here we are in real life making those advances to get to those points. And people just don't seem to really like be worried. People don't really seem to be like, wow, like this is scary. So for me to listen to an album that was dropped in 2013, which I loved back then, but for it to, I think this album will always be prevalent. I think I search for what all of this means, like whether it's life or whether it's what the effects of social media and the internet itself has on us will never fully be answered. I think the time that we will find the answer, I think it will be too late. But I encourage people to watch how they're using social media. I personally want to encourage myself to watch how I'm using social media because there's times where you would just doom scroll on a lot of stuff and you're just wasting time. So maybe take a walk in the park, maybe take a tolerance break. Really just sit here and just think, how could you benefit? Because I do think there are beautiful things about the internet. We have a sense of community. I can do things like this and I can reach out to people like you, and we could really kind of like sit here and kind of bounce ideas off each other. And I mean, you could be all over the world. The communication aspect of it is amazing. But when did people decide to kind of like live these fake lives on the internet? There's something I struggle with myself. Sometimes you have a fresh fit and you just like, man, somebody more than just a mailman need to see this fit. It's thoughts like that. And I think I want to encourage people to be their real selves, just all together. Just don't have this persona on the internet. But there's only but so much someone can look at from just like your Instagram and know who you are as a person. They don't know, They don't know. And maybe it's meant to be fiction. Maybe some people, maybe it's therapeutic to kind of live different lives. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what the I've said ramifications like a million times, but we don't know what the effects of all this stuff is. But it's beautiful to have art that can reflect the things that we feel. So it's like whenever we listen to these albums and things like that, as long as those albums become prevalent and stay prevalent, we will always have that thought. So it's like if you write a catchy song, it's always going to be around because it's a good song. So it's good that I think he was very intentional with this album because it's like making an album with so much good music will cause people to always dive in deeper. Because I once I decided to choose to do an episode on this project, it really opened my eyes of like really kind of looking into my life and being like, dang, like how does the internet affect me? Like, what am I even doing this podcast for and things like that? Obviously, I mean, I know the answers. I think I know the answers, but there's days where I'm kind of like very hesitant to kind of get on and record. I think ultimately the internet is a scary place, but I think that it also can be a beautiful place of just, you know, us being able to share our achievements. But I think when it becomes just about achievements, you know, I think we kind of get caught up that, you know, it's not, a lot of it's not real. When you're just seeing a lot of people post their achievements, bro, that's all you see. You don't see their failures. And I think any person can tell you that their failures are what made them. And now we're kind of getting to a point where people are feeling more comfortable with expressing their failures and things like that because we really need to understand. I challenge you, man. I challenge you to read a book about one of your favorite people. I mean, like, even doing my research on this album, I didn't know that Donald Glover, when he quit the show Community, I didn't know that he thought his rap career wasn't going to work out. I mean, he even took to the internet to express his feelings, saying that he hoped he did not make the wrong decision by deciding to stop acting and writing and, you know, to pursue music. You know, I'm not saying that it's a failure, but I mean, if you never did your research on this guy to really find out that, man, he took a risk and he took things like that to really get to where he's at. I think a lot of people forget. I also think that social media kind of allows you to forget that, man, people took a long time to get to where they're at. Like, I look at like certain comedians or certain people, when you really do their research to see where they started out and to see that they're really now flourishing where they're at now, like, it really took them a long time. But I think social media is here today and gone tomorrow, that you could sometimes forget that the work that people put in to get to really where they're at. And I would say ultimately that is one of the biggest themes that this album has taught me. But my question is, how long will society like hang in this balance? Like, will we ever get to a point where we're like, okay, we have enough technology? And to be quite frankly, unless it's really like medical or actually like advancing our lives, then I mean, maybe we should kind of chill out and take a break. Everyone, the entire world should just be like, all right, bro, let's just chill out for a bit and just deal with what we have now. Or, you know, people can keep on doing what they want to do, you know, and keep on advancing and doing this thing that we call like life. But there ultimately just needs to be a time where we just sit back and see how it affect us. And it'll all be because of the internet. I don't even have enough time to really sit here and dive into all the themes that this album has and that it talks about. I just wanted to talk about what was the most important thing to me. And to me, it's been technology. Some of this technology has us cooked. I mean, our dopamine levels are to the roof. Like really think about it. We're not meant to be this overstimulated. Like, the science behind what technology does to us is kind of negative. I mean, it's positive as well, but it's kind of negative. So I really want to encourage people to kind of like get off the grid a little. You know, it's very impossible to get away from technology. I'm not saying get away, but kind of keeping it like a friend to me. Like, be aware of it, but don't let it like too close. Just kind of really understand like what it can do to you. And I think it's hard. I think once I'm done filming this, I'll probably be on Instagram or TikTok just kind of looking at stuff and really be like, dang, bro, I might be a hypocrite. But I'm going to at least try, you know, to just kind of like give myself a break. And just kind of like, I do find myself genuinely kind of reading more and just kind of like getting away. I have this thing to where when I first wake up, like for the first like 30 minutes or so, I don't look at my phone. Like, I just kind of want to protect my thoughts. I think that in this day and age, we get so much information that it's really hard to understand what are your actual beliefs. What do you believe? You're getting so much information fed to you that you may not know what your beliefs. But think about the kids who are coming up and like, them moving in ways that the internet tells them how to move. Like when you really think about it, man, the internet teaches you so much things and it can be a useful tool. But just think about all the negative impacts that it genuinely has on us. And that's just something I really want you to think about. Because whether you feel good or whether you feel bad with technology, it'll all be because the internet. Oh my God. I think I'm done rambling. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Let me know if it was useful. Let me know if it was too random. Let me know if you want to see more content like this. I can get on the soapbox sometimes. So just be honest with your boy. That's all I ask, for a little honesty. And really thank you as I continue on this journey of kind of like figuring all of this out. It's really kind of difficult doing things kind of like by yourself. So everybody who's been encouraging me, thank you, because you are the reason why I continue to do this. You are the reason why I'm continuing to post these. Thank you to the internet, for me to be able to have a place to even do something like this. So I don't want to bash the internet. It's definitely a positive place, but we need more people who are really trying to make the internet a better place. So with that being said, thank you for sharing. And thank you for spending time with me. Have a nice day. Chris out.